What's the count on?
You guys do 4 bars. Go ahead.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la, ya la la lie with us. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. What happens if you're off key? Nothing. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Then your harmony. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Ya la la la. Ya la la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Ya la 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 la.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My name is Leslie Berger and co-president of the Temple with David Youngman. And welcome to Eileen. Nice to see you. Happy birthday.
The queen, the other queen. Her Majesty. The Eileens are sitting together.
The other one.
Eileen the Elder.
Hak Purim Sameach. This Sunday is an adult ed program about chocolate and Jews at 3 p.m. If you want to join, it'll be in person and on Zoom. There was an email that was sent out if you're interested. And I guess there'll be chocolate tastings. RSVPs are still open for the trip to the Reagan Library for the Auschwitz exhibit. That's happening on April 16th. So please go to the website to register online. Sisterhood members their fee is covered for free. If you want to bring your partner or spouse or friend or whatever, they'll be charged. And welcome to Dan Spector, Leo Alves, and Michael Warner to our Beamer tonight for joining us. And thank you to our tech team, Phil Carey and David Youngman, and Susan Carey for running the chat. Thanks to our ushers, Harry and Victoria Jacobs. And the emergency exits are Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Indeed, Shabbat Shalom and happy Purim to us all. Woo! Thank you, Sisterhood, for a delicious dinner. Oh my God, that was wonderful. It was a very good dinner. Thank you very, very much. Thank you again, members of our band and everybody. For those of you joining us at home on our YouTube channel, now's the time to set aside some challah, candles, your favorite Shabbat beverage, whatever that choice might be, or for Purim, whatever it is you would like to partake of. On this Shabbat Purim, we have Shabbat greetings from Jeff and Wilma Shear. Jeff is a past president of our congregation. Thank you, Jeff, for your continued support of our Shabbat greeting programs. Our flowers, lovely, colorful flowers, donated in honor of Eileen Haber's 94th birthday. We will refer to her as Eileen the Elder to avoid confusion with Patrick Hatzadik. And please join us following our service for a delicious oneg hosted in honor of Purim and Eileen's birthday by our sisterhood and by John Haber and family. So tonight's going to be a little bit different. We are going to integrate the reading of the Purim Megillah with very unique chanting melodies, together with very unique melodies for all of our prayers. Not a single prayer will be done to its normal traditional melody. Purim is our holiday where we turn everything upside down. And we are going to do that on this very evening. I am grateful to our Not Ready for Oneg Time players. They will be featuring Joseph Tejas, Barry Block, Neil Rosen, Diana Brown, and Howard LeVoot. I don't think did I miss anyone? Nope, got them all. Excellent. They will be acting for us. We're having a reader's theater tonight. So they will be portraying much of the Megillah. I'll give us a little bit of the Hebrew, and together we're going to sing a bunch of really great zany and silly songs. And that's the way it's going to work with us tonight. I think I've explained. Oh, two things I have to explain. We are very blessed to have two Megillot. This one makes me feel like, a Jedi. This is the illuminated Megillah. As you see, it has beautiful, let me get it down here there we go, for the camera. As you see, it has lovely pictures depicting various characters of the Purim story. We are able to do this in the Megillat Esther because the scroll of Esther never mentions God by name. Although God is very much a part of the story, God is not mentioned by name, and as such, we can decorate this with whatever we want because there's no confusion that maybe we're worshiping that picture. The other Megillah I have is the Donna Roberts Alav HaShalom Megillah. This Megillah, coming in its very unique Megillah case, a Kahlua container, is written very much like a Torah, on parchment, likewise not mentioning God by name. Therefore, the same care that we would show a Torah, we do not need to show to this. But I have this at every Purim because the story of Donna Roberts is a real riches to rags story. I met Donna Roberts when I was a community chaplain in Ohio. She was then a resident at the Ohio State Correctional Institution for Women. She was on Ohio's death row. She and her husband had been very successful. They had owned a number of franchises. They had traveled to Israel several times. On one of the trips is when she bought that scroll. I was visiting with her, and she donated the scroll to me, and I told her that I would gladly tell the story of Purim, but also her story as well. Because something happened to this woman. She absolutely lost her mind. I don't know if it was the drugs first or the mind first, but she divorced her husband, got mixed up with a boyfriend, convinced the boyfriend that we should go kill her ex-husband. They did so. The boyfriend was found guilty and sentenced to death. And Donna Roberts challenged the judge and said, if you sentence him to death, you have to sentence me to death too, because I'm just as guilty. And so she was. The state executed her in 2018. It was a very strange and very sad and very tragic story, kind of the opposite of the scroll of Esther, but one to always serve as a reminder that good people can lose their minds. Good people can lose track of who they are. Good people can get sidelined and commit horrible atrocities. We are spared that atrocity from this very story. But Donna Roberts and her Megillah continues with every Purim. That'll be the only seriousness for tonight. Again, you've heard a chance to meet our band. Thank you guys for being with us. I now invite members, I now invite members of the Haber family to join me at our candles so that we might share together in a reading and the blessing over our Shabbat candles, and a special blessing for Eileen. Bring Eileen right up here. And we have a special reading we want to do before we light our Shabbat candles. Microphone, hold it close. Okay.
source of all goodness, as we join in Shabbat worship, we ask your blessings. Grant us health enough to perform our daily tasks, wealth enough to answer our needs, compassion enough to feel the needs of others. Give us strength enough to recognize our faults, wisdom enough to understand your laws, loyalty enough to discharge our duties. Give us courage enough to be true to the best within us, charity enough to see the best in others. Give us patience enough not to become discouraged, hope enough to overcome all fears of the future, and faith enough to feel your presence. And let us say amen.
Amen. Very good. Okay. Who's going to help light the candles? Why don't we get, yeah. Why not when you confirm? Let's get the great-granddaughters, right? Okay. Come. We're going to pick, give me your hand. Okay, we're going to pick this up at the bottom. Okay, raise it right up there. Very good. And we share together in the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvah tov v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We blessed are you, Adonai, our God, source of all being, who calls us to holy acts through mitzvot and inspires us to light these Shabbat lights.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Eileen, we are so grateful to have you with us. Here in our midst, we want you to know that we don't let these events go by without proper acknowledgement because, this is every day that we get to celebrate a 94th birthday. And so for you, when you decide, what did I do on March the 10th, so that you will be able to remember, we have a special certificate for you. God of days and years, author of life, we thank you for the blessings of life and for all that enriches our lives. We gather today to share in the happiness of Eileen Haber in celebration of her 94th birthday. May Eileen be blessed with health and happiness and with the strength to overcome sickness and sorrow. With your presence at her side, may Eileen be blessed to see her world in her lifetime. And indeed, much of it you have seen. Children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, right? No great-greats yet, okay, ladies? May Eileen's heart act wisely, her lips speak wisdom, and her tongue whisper songs. May her vision always be towards the future, her eyes shine with the light of Torah, and her face glow like the splendor of heavens. May Eileen be blessed with wholeness, contentment, peace, and above all, shalom. Celebrated this 18th day of Adar, the 10th day of March, signed by myself, our presidents, Leslie and David, and our cantor, Stacey Morse. Eileen, it is my pleasure to present to you our world-famous official birthday certificate, hereby acknowledging your 94th birthday as we join together in our blessing of gratitude, our Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
For giving us life, for sustaining us, and for enabling us to celebrate with Eileen on her 94th birthday. Oh God, we are grateful to you. We all say amen. With that, Mazel Tov! continue with an opening song, Lechu Neranana, come, let us come into God's presence with joy and with singing. I want to invite our not ready for Oneg time players to please join us here on the Bima as we prepare for a night of Shabbat worship and Purim celebration.
Yay! Let us know if you like it. A lot of these are from Dana and I from our upcoming album. So, all right. Lechu neranena l'Adonai, Lechu neranena l'Adonai, la too. Lechu neranena l'Adonai, Lechu neranena l'Adonai, Nariha letzor yishenu, Nariha letzor yishenu, Nekara fanav b'torah, Bismirut narialo, Lechu neranena l'Adonai, Lechu neranena l'Adonai, Lechu neranena l'Adonai, Lechu neranena l'Adonai, Ki el gadol Adonai, Umelech gadol al kol Elohim, Asher beyado mechekere oretz v'tovot arim lo. Lechu neranena l'Adonai, Lechu neranena l'Adonai, Lechu neranena l'Adonai, Lechu neranena l'Adonai.
אשר לא היום והוא עשהו, ויבש את ידיו ויצרו. בואו נשתחווה ונכרע נברכה לפני אדוני עושנו, כי הוא אלוהינו ואנחנו עם עריד בחזון ידו. היום, היום, אם בקולו תשמעו.
Lechu neranena l'Adonai, 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 Lechu neranena
So as I mentioned, tonight's Megillot readings will be featuring very unique traditional melodies, bonus points to those who are able to identify those very melodies. We begin with a blessing before the reading of the Megillah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mikra Megillah. For the opportunity, the obligation, and the challenge of reading this Megillah, we are grateful to you, O God. Vayehi beyamei Achashveros hu Achashveros hamolech mehodu ad kush Sheva ve'esrim umea medina biyamim hahem keshevet hamelech Achashveros al kisei malchuto to asher beshushan habira.
Nice.
And the tune is? See, I'm not so tone deaf after all. Great, excellent. With that, are not ready for Oneg time players.
Long, long ago, in a land far, far away, lived King Ahasuerus. who from his throne in Shushan ruled over 120 provinces, from today's Turkey all the way to the land of Ethiopia. In the 3rd year of his reign, King Ahasuerus held a party for all the officials throughout the entire land. For 180 days, the king and his bros partied like it was the year 9. It was after a long, long, long time ago. The king opened up his royal palace to all the peoples of Shushan to show off his wealth and power. Furthermore, the king gave orders to his stewards to serve everyone drinks without end. Ooh, sounds like a good party. Meanwhile, Queen Vashti and the other women of the court, who were excluded from the king's buffet of debauchery, held their own festivities, feasting on wine and fine delicacies from all over the king's land. After several months of partying, well, it was 180 days, King Ahasuerus realized that the beautiful Queen Vashti was not by his side.
You know, it's not good to be king married to the most beautiful woman in the land and for that woman not to be present. This is terrible, and I will rectify this immediately. Everyone and I have your attention, please. For many years, the beautiful Queen Vashti has come by my side, except for tonight. And so, by royal decree of the king, Queen Vashti, to appear wearing only her royal diadem, I want you to see just how good it is to be the king and have the woman as my wife. So let it be written, so let it be done. Royal messenger, please, tarry not. Hurry to the queen's banquet in order to order her to appear. Everyone, let us greet the queen and see how beautiful my bride truly is. L'chak dodi, come from my friends, l'chak kala. Let us welcome my bride, the queen.
L'chak dodi, l'chak kala, b'nei Shabbat nikala. L'chak dodi, l'chak kala, b'nei Shabbat nikala. B'nei Shabbat nikala. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad, Ishmi'anu el ha'echad. Adonai echad, u'shmo echad, v'shem u'tiferet, v'li tfilah. L'chad dodi, l'chad kala, b'nei Shabbat nikala. L'chad dodi, l'chad kala, b'nei Shabbat nikala.
b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki makor habracha. Merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila.
L'chad dodi, l'chad kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. L'chad dodi, l'chad kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela.
b'nei Shabbat nikabela.
Yitoreri, yitoreri, Kiva oreich kumi uri, 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 shir daveri. Kevo Adonai, alai lich nigla. L'chad dodi,
l'chad dodi,
l'chad kala,
l'chad kala,
b'nei Shabbat nikabela. L'chad dodi,
l'chad dodi,
l'chad kala,
l'chad kala,
b'nei Shabbat nikabela.
b'nei Shabbat nikabela.
We rise as we are able, face the rear of the sanctuary as if to greet Shabbat's presence.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצער בעלה, תוך אמוני יום סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה.
Face the front.
חד קלה,
חד קלה,
פני שבת קלה.
חדוני,
חד קלה,
חד קלה,
פני שבת קלה. חדוני,
חדוני,
לקראת קלה,
חד קלה,
פני שבת קלה. חדוני, לקראת קלה,
חד קלה,
פני שבת קלה. פני שבת קלה. פני שבת קלה. פני שבת קלה.
Now that's how you greet the bride. We may be seated.
Although the king ordered it, and even though it was written, it was not done. The queen refused to dance for this misogynistic king. The king consulted with royal advisors as to what to do with her. What shall we do with Queen Vashti? An example must be made of her, cried the advisors. Otherwise, all the women throughout the land might get into the simple minds that they can disobey the orders of their husbands. No! Vashti must be banished. The women must always know their place. The king pondered this for a moment and then said,
So let it be written, so let it be done.
And so ex-Queen Vashti was banished and was never heard from again. After a while, the king realized, what a mistake. He just banished the most beautiful woman in the world. Now he had no one with him. He had no eye candy to show off. He had no one to keep him company. And what's a king without some company and eye candy? Once again, King Ahasuerus consulted his advisors.
O royal advisors, I'm in quite a predicament. How can I, the king, appear in public without a beautiful queen by my side? A king without a beautiful queen is not a king. How can I make me great again?
The king's advisors suggested holding a beauty pageant and let the king select from the virgins present. Select from the virgins present next queen. And although King Ahasuerus was most pleased with the idea, RuPaul, however, was most upset at being excluded. He said, I thought this was a Shushan, not Florida.
Hey, you know, it's in the text. We got to read it. All right, from Esther chapter 2. Ish Yehudi haya b'Shushan habira, ushmo Mordechai ben Yair ben Shimi ben Kish ish Yamini, v'yehi Amen et Hadassah hi Esther, bat doda ki ein la ve'em hanara, ve'hanara, yefat to'ar, ve'tovat, ma'arei, ve'tovat ma'arei, ve'tovat Mare! Oh, wait. Yes, sorry. Yeah, you're up. Oklahoma.
Oh, I knew it was something country. I was thinking wagon. What's the one with the wagon? There's a song that's wagon, something wagon.
Paint your wagon.
Okay, I'm like,
Wrong
all right.
musical.
Sorry. No, I have a tin ear, so what can I say? Where was I at? Wrong page, sorry, I apologize. In Shushan lived a Jew by the name of Mordecai, son of Yair, son of Shimi, son of Kish, of the tribe of Benjamin, exiled from Jerusalem in the days of King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon. He was foster father to Hadassah, aka Esther, aka Esther, his uncle's daughter, whose parents had died previously. Mordecai would begin his day. Mordecai would begin his day with song and prayer. Hadassah, ever since she was a little girl, used to join her stepfather in song and prayer. Every morning, Mordecai would say to Esther,
Listen, Esther, you must remember that you are a descendant of a great and mighty people. While the people of Shushan were wowing around worshiping rocks, trees, beetles, even themselves, your ancestors were pledging their allegiance to one God, creator of the universe. Listen up. It is important that you remember that, although we are a minority, we have had changed with the world for the better. Listen, we gave the world the book of books, and sometime in the future, we will be recognized for that. Listen, I want you to... Hesitation.
Ooh, keep you in suspense.
Always remember that listen up. There may not be a time when you'll be called upon to remember this talk.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malechuto Leolam Va'ed Va'ed Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malechuto Le'olam Va'ed Va'ed. And you shall love the Lord, O God, O Adonai, with all your heart, with all your soul and might. And all these words I give you on this holy day shall be upon your heart, upon your heart. And teach these words to your children, and speak of them when you sit at home and when you walk by the way, at night when you lie down and when you rise up. Every time you rise up, you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and make a symbol for between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorpost of your house, and upon your gates, upon your gates. Shema, Shema, we are explorers reading every sign. We tell the stories of our elders in a never-ending. Shema, Shema, we keep the Torah and its ways. He teaches what we do and we learn each day.
We may be seated.
Indeed, Mordecai's words would prove to be so true. For when Mordecai heard the king's disgusting, misogynistic plan to select the next queen, he nevertheless thought that Esther combined both the brains and the beauty, and the only hope for Shushan and the king's land was for the king to have a wise woman to guide him. With some reservations, Mordecai nevertheless petitioned Esther to enter the contest, but to use her brains as much as her beauty. Many virgins were gathered together in Shushan, and Haggai, the guardian of women in the king's harem, greeted them all. Welcome, you ladies of beauty. Welcome to Shushan and the palace. Please enter this palace in peace, you messengers of love. May you messengers of matrimony be blessed in the palace.
Thanks.
Welcome me to Shalom.
Shalom Alechem Malachei Asherei Malachei
In peace.
Elyon King of Kings Malachei Elyon
Great God Almighty.
Baruch Hu.
Welcome in peace.
Shalom Alechem Malachei
Welcome.
Asherei Malachei
In
Elyon
peace.
King of Kings Malachei
Welcome in peace.
Baruch Hu.
Well, peace to you, O angels, heralds of the Most High. Please enter in peace and bless us with peace, and leave in peace when you go by. Shabbat shalom.
Shalom Alechem Malachei
Welcome.
Asherei Malachei
Come in
Elyon
peace.
King of Kings Malachei
Oh, bless us, angels. Well, peace to you, O angels, heralds of the Most High. Please enter in peace and bless us with peace, and then leave in peace when you go by. Shabbat shalom.
Shalom Alechem
Welcome.
Malachei Malachei
In
Elyon
peace.
King of Kings Malachei
Shabbat shalom. Oh, shalom.
Shalom Alechem
Please
Malachei
come.
Asherei Malachei
Welcome
Elyon
in
King of
peace.
Kings Malachei Elyon
Great God, HaKadosh,
Baruch Hu.
Each night, a virgin was selected from the harem. She was permitted to take a small overnight bag with her if she went into the king's chamber. Each morning, she was then returned to the harem. When it was Esther's turn, she gathered her bedclothes and her bag and set off for a night with the king.
Ah, please enter my bedchamber, you pretty little thing, you. Pray tell, what is your name?
My name is Esther, the stepdaughter of Mordecai, Your Highness.
Oh, how very nice. Now come in, join me in bed.
Certainly, Your Highness, but first I must ask you, is this how you behave towards all the women?
What an impertinent question. Do you know how you are speaking to the king? I have people killed for less than that. Kind of offensive question.
Oh my. Well, that certainly must make you feel very powerful, Your Highness, to be able to put people to death. But I wonder, Your Highness, if all that bravado might not be overcompensating for weaknesses in other areas.
What in the world are you talking about, woman?
Thereupon Esther engaged King Ahasuerus
We did good.
in an all-night exploration of his past. With each question from Esther, King Ahasuerus found himself transported back into time to confront his past. His inattentive father, the uncertainty as to which of the king's wives was his birth mother, the ridicule he received from the king's courtiers, and the incessant teasing he received from his childhood peers. The king sobbed uncontrollably in Esther's arms as he recalled how he was taunted as a child, as those around him made fun of his name, calling him Wash and Wear instead of Ahasuerus. On the childhood shame he bore. When the sun rose and the king was still talking to Esther, he knew she was the one. With her, he could be a better king. He could become more than who he was. Taking Esther's advice, the king holds a more subdued banquet for the palace officials to introduce Esther as the queen. The queen insisting that the food be made available to the poor and the hungry. Mordecai. No, yay. Yay. Mordecai.
We'll get to the booing.
Keeping an eye on his stepdaughter from the palace gates, overheard two guards plotting to assassinate the king. Mordecai reported the plot to the queen, who reported it to the king, who investigated and found out it was true. He executed the rebels.
We continue with the text. Achar hadavrim ha'ele gada hamelech Achashveros et Haman. Bo! Where was I? Ben Hamdata Hagim Vinasehum Veyasem al Kiso. That one you recognize?
Yes, finally.
Yeah, that one he gets.
Oh, pardon.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sometime afterwards, King Ahasuerus promoted Haman son of Hamadatha, the Agagite. He advanced him and seated him higher than any of his other fellow officials. King Ahasuerus ordered that all the officials in the palace and all the people in the land must bow to Haman as he is the king's official representative. However, Mordecai refused to bow. Many tried to get him to bow, but Mordecai refused. Someone told Haman about this. He was furious. He confronted Mordecai.
Why do you not bow down to me? Do you not know that it is the king's ruling to do so?
I will not bow down. Not here in this crowd, and I say it for all to hear. And I will say it out loud. I will not bow to you. I am not frail. I will not bow even if you pull my hair. I will not bow you here or there. I will not bow you anywhere. I will not bow to you if you are on a boat. I will not bow to you if you were a goat. I will not bow to you if you were standing on a box or walking with a fox. I will not bow to you here or there. I will not bow to you anywhere.
She's all right. All right, already. I get it. You won't bow down to me. But please tell me, for I must know, why won't you bow?
I will not bow to you, for I am a Jew. Jews do not bow to humans. Jews bow only to the God. That is how great our God is. To God I will bow. I will bow to God here in this crowd. I will say it all to hear, and I will say it out loud. I will bow to God. I will bow to God even if you pull my hair. I will bow to God here and there. I will bow to God anywhere. I will bow to God on a boat. I will bow to God if I had a goat. I will bow to God if I were standing on a box or walking with a fox. I will bow to God here and there. I will bow to God anywhere. Our God is great.
Oy vey. Wait, what did I say? Oh.
Remember, la la works. can say la la. Here we go. La 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la.
מי כמוך בעלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, מי כמוך בעלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מי כמוך בעלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש.
מלאכותך ראו וענך, בקי הים לפני משה ומרים, זה ליענו ואמרו,
אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך בעלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. ונאמר כי פדה, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. מי כמוך בעלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש.
We continue with the text. Vayomer Haman lamelech Achashverosh yeshno am echad meforaz umeforad ben ha'amim bechol ha'medinot malchutecha vedatehem shanot. Vayomer Haman lamelech Achashverosh. Yes, you got it right. Singing there. Yes, excellent. We continue with our story.
Haman was so taken aback and frustrated that he actually said, oy vey. Nevertheless, Haman decided that he must make an example of Mordecai. And what better way than to kill all the Jews in the king's land? Haman convinces the king that there are a great number of peoples in his lands who are not following his laws. Although the king had previously, inspired by his conversations with Esther, he found that thinking about all the things Esther was proposing made his head hurt. He much better liked hanging out with Haman because things were so much simpler with Haman. He found he didn't have any headaches when he was with him. Haman didn't make him think. So the king went back to counting the gems in the royal crown and told Haman, do whatever you can with the people. To set the date of the massacre, Haman held a contest, a lottery in fact, invited everyone in Shushan to bet on the date to best kill the Jews. There was much betting in the city, but the date that attracted the most money was the 13th of the 12th month of Adar, which is, in our case, the 7th of March. And so, Haman published an edict in the name of King Ahasuerus that the residents of the king's land should take up arms and plan to destroy, massacre, eliminate all of the Jews, young and old, children and women, on that single day, the 13th of the 12th month, the month of Adar, and to plunder their possessions. Mordecai, here's Haman's plan and the date it was to happen. He put on sackcloth and ashes and mourned the future of his people. Throughout the king's land, Jews everywhere were frightened for their lives. They too began mourning their plight. Esther heard of Mordecai's putting on sackcloth and mourning, and she had new clothing sent to him. Mordecai refused the clothes, instead sent her a singing telegram back to the queen. Singing.
La 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 la. Listen to these words and remember who you are. Do not imagine that you, of all the Jews, will escape with your life by being in the king's palace. Listen to these words and remember you come from a great people, a people who span the generations, a people who transcend time and space.
This one will require your participation as well. I need to teach you this melody. Every time you see this slide, you need to sing Baruch Hu Uvaruch Shemo. Got it? Baruch Hu Uvaruch Shemo. That's your part. So when you see this slide, you're going to sing. It'll be in with a bunch of other slides, so when it appears, you'll go. Very good. Following on the theme of the Shema. Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Agid, Tehilatecha. Adonai, 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 Adonai. Ufi Agid Tehilatecha. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu. That's your part. Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu. Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak. Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov. Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka. Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא. אל עליון גומל חסדים טובים. בקונה הכל וזוכר חסדים. ומביא גאולה לבני. בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה וברוך שמו. And to you, and to you. Oh, wait, I think I'm next. Oh, no, oh, yeah. No, you're next. I'm next. Oh, you are? Okay, great. No, me. See? I gotta do this.
Oh, that was the one? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. We gotta do text. Okay. Back to text. Okay, where was I? Yes, right, okay.
Ellie, keep it clean.
How much of this have you been drinking, woman? We need to call an Uber for Ellie, okay? Don't let her drive.
Cut off.
לך כנוס את כל היהודים הנמצאים בשושן ותשומו עלי ואל תאכלו ואל תשתו 3 ימים לילה ויום גם אני ונרתי עצום. Now we continue with the story.
Esther knows she cannot remain silent. She must alert the king of this terrible edict and the horrible consequences the edict will have, not only for the Jews, not only for herself, but for the people of the king's land. His order will turn all of them into murderers. But she cannot just walk in on the king uninvited. Ever since the plot was uncovered, the king was under guard 24/7. Anyone who walks up to the king uninvited will be immediately executed. Esther informs Mordecai to have all the Jews of Shushan fast for her, just as she will fast before approaching the king. The next day, feeling weak from her fast, Esther, dressed in all her royal finery, walks into the throne room. There on the throne, King Ahasuerus was napping, having lost count of the gems in his crown. The guard, seeing a woman approaching the king, raised his sword to strike her down. But a moment he moved, the king was startled from his slumber. Seeing his beautiful queen, Esther, approach, he called out,
"My queen, my love, welcome. What brings you to my throne room? Guards, cease and desist. Do you know how this is none other than the queen back? You back, I say. Stand down and stand in your corner."
If it please your highness, my love, I invite you and Minister Haman to a special banquet I'm holding in your honor in 3 days.
A banquet for me? Oh, my dearest Esther, I do not so love banquets. It was a banquet a few years ago that I had held that finally led me to you. I love you, the food, the wine, and all the people. But as much as I love that, I love you even more. I now realize that I miss you deep in conversation. I felt my love, my brain turning in turmoil these past months. I truly be there. So gratefully am I your love for me, and I look forward to rekindling our stimulating conversations with all their eternal love.
More text. Vatomer Esther im al hamelech tov yavo hamelech vehaman bo hayom al hamishte asher asiti lo et hamishte asher asiti lo la 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 la.
בשכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד.
כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו ובכם ליומם ולילה. ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל.
Sorry. This one I got. Yep, this one I got. Continuing with Esther chapter 6. This one's not a musical, but you know it. Balayla hu nidata shnat hamelech Achashveros vayomer lehavi et sefer hazichronot divrei hayamim vihiyu nikraim lifnei hamelech Lifnei HaMelech.
The next 3 days passed quickly. The night before the queen's banquet, the king couldn't sleep. He had the royal diary read to him. The entry shared was the day that Mordecai discovered the plot to assassinate the king. The king inquired what was done to honor such a brave man and was truly disheartened to learn that nothing had been done. King Ahasuerus summoned Mordecai, sorry, my error, summoned Haman immediately and put the question to him.
I wish to honor a man who was very helpful to me, a man who demonstrated tremendous loyalty to us, who showed tremendous bravery in reporting a plot against our very life.
Why, the king must be referring to none other than me, telling him about these people who weren't following his laws. Well, your most rotund highness, your obtuse eminence, I think such a man should be led around on the king's royal steed in a parade to my honor. This is the man's honor. All the people of Shushan should be ordered to stand on the street. It will be the largest crowd ever gathered on the streets of Shushan, larger than anything ever.
What a fantastic, wonderful idea. I want you to make it so, and you'll have the honor of leading Mordecai through the very streets of Shushan with Mordecai riding on my royal steed Epoxy.
Haman was furious, and his anger knew no bounds. After his humiliation and having to lead Mordecai through the streets on a parade that should have been his, Haman was all the more excited that in a few more days, Mordecai and all those people would be slaughtered throughout the land. But first, he has to attend that stupid banquet held by that ignorant queen in honor of the royal buffoon. With Arthur Harris that very evening, oh, what a waste of time that will be. As Haman walked to the banquet hall, he encounters the king. Together, the two of them are dressed in their evening finest. As the evening began to fall and the colors of the sky turned to pinks and purples, the king and Haman crossed the courtyard to the banquet hall to celebrate that evening's banquets. It was going to be a beautiful evening.
We continue with the text. Yeah, we're skipping, yeah. We're continuing on next page. Let's see. V'ta'an Esther Hamalka, v'tomer imatzati ein beinecha hamelech, v'ima hamelech tov, haniten li nafshi, v'ta'an Esther Hamalka, v'tomer imatzati ein beinecha, hamelech ima hamelech tov. Dani li nafshi bishalti ve'ami bikashti ve'sha'alti ve'ami bibakashti. Anyway, you got the idea. So we are on page 20. Yep. We're on page 20 on the top. Actually, let's see. We're not on page 20, we're on page 21. Esther.
No, we're here.
Okay.
Playing at the top.
Sure.
Yeah. King Ahasuerus, Queen Esther, Minister Haman. We're all seated at the banquet table. The king complimented the queen on the selection of foods and the pairing of wines, and exclaimed,
What a delightful evening this has been. Now, my dear queen, my lovely Esther, what is on your mind?
My dear king, as appreciative as I am of your kindness and your willingness to attend this evening's banquet, I'm deeply troubled. With great reluctance, I must share with you a plot against my very life. You see, my dear king, I am Jewish, and a royal edict has been proclaimed throughout the land that all the Jews living in your land are to be destroyed, massacred, and exterminated, young and old, children and women, on a single day, on the 13th day of the 12th month. That is the month of Adar, and that our possessions are to be plundered.
What plot is this, my dear queen? I'm not aware of that your life is in danger. To what edict are you referring to? I'm not aware of such edict. What has issued such an evil edict in my name?
It was your own advisor who duped you into this, for it was Minister Haman who issued such an edict.
The king was furious with Haman. So angry was he at Haman. Betrayal, that he had to step out of the banquet hall to plan his next steps. After a bit of yelling and screaming away from the ears and those of attendants, the king realized what he must do. He must do to Haman what he had done to Vashti. Haman must be banished so that all those who might harbor such thoughts of violence against others would learn their lesson. There is no place for hate in Shushan. Haman realized the gig was up. He fell on Queen Esther to beg for his life. The king re-entered the banquet hall, and only to see Haman lying on top of the queen.
Guards, arrest that man, Haman. How dare you attack the queen in my absence? The wool that you placed over my eyes has been lifted, and I see your true nature, so filled with hate that you are. There is no place in Shushan, nor indeed in this world, for people like you. The gallows that you intend for Mordecai, the Jews, and the queen shall be you.
The Jews of Shushan, indeed the Jews of all the king's land, were saved. Not only that, the people of Shushan were also saved. Instead of becoming murderers, willing accomplices to Haman's plot, they instead became the willing partners of rebuilding the peace and justice throughout the land. Together, the Jews and all the Persians celebrated and expressed admiration and adoration to God.
Nice.
With that, I invite us to rise as we are able for the Aleinu, the adoration.
Aleinu. Your turn. I'll do it again. Aleinu. Up a little. Aleinu. Let's do that one again. Aleinu. 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 Remember that. Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה לעוצר ראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה. Ready? עלינו, עלינו, שלא שם חלקנו ככם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. שלא שם חלקנו ככם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. עלינו, עלינו, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. עלינו, 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 לעולם ועד. ונאמר לך יא אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא
It is part of the beauty of our tradition that we are able to hold sometimes competing, divergent thoughts. We human beings are complex. Our minds are complex. As Jews, we know the history of our people. We know the history of the book of Esther. We know the times, the difficult times that we have faced. At the same time, on this particular holiday, we turn that sadness upside down and share and make fun of this very story. And yet, sadness is part of our life, because death is part of our life as well. And so even while we sing happy melodies, we know that there are those that we would love to share these melodies with who no longer share our physical world. It is that reality, but it is also part of our strength that we can embrace sadness amidst joy, that we can embrace grieving amidst celebration, because this is what life is all about. And so at this point in our service, we call to mind those who share this physical world no more, those who live on in our hearts, in our memories, and in the place we call Olam Haba. We call to mind one for whom we are observing the Shloshim period, May Salinger. We wish that we could celebrate with her tonight. Mother of Dr. Charles Salinger, grandmother, great-grandmother, and longtime temple member. As well, we call to mind others who we wish we could celebrate with as well, whose yahrzeits have occurred during this past week. Ray C. Hilliard, Estelle Payne, Ruth Schloss, Irene Fadum, Paul James Slater, Dr. Melvin Kotkin, Howard Klein, Leslie Malkin, Jeanette Polivoy, Rabbi David Lieb, Jacob M. Melnick, Maxwell H. Gorman, Beatrice Harris, Selma Levinson, Ida W. Diamond, Margot Friend, Emilio Ursus, David Gerwich, Rosamond Block, Morris Ursus, David Lowenda, Sina Lippi, Fanny Glasser, Sadie Polivoy, and Nathan Leiter. To those names, we link the names of those for whom we are observing the Kaddish period: Gerald Kramer, Mark Lightman, Stephen Z. Levoot, Helene Brow, Tim Manriquez, Lenny Lightman, Lorraine Stein, Harry Fox, Ed Ginter, Dr. Alan Sherman, Mary Lewis, Joel Lowenstein, Arthur Krieger, Maria Paulus Osborne, Ellen Hope Tews, Martin Becker, Nahama Fragoso, Allegra Gordon, and Cyrus Shade. If there's a loved one whom you are remembering, I invite you to share that name at this time. To those that we have named aloud, and to those that we keep named in the quiet places of our hearts and memories. We link as well the names and memories of the men and women of our armed forces who have given their lives for our liberties and our freedoms, those who have given their lives for our safety here at home, the members of our police, our firefighters, and other first responders, and the members of the Israeli Defense Forces who have given their lives for the hope of peace. Zichronam Livracha. May their memories always be for a blessing, as we share together the words of our Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemed Rabbah, Be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, B'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uv'izman kariv imru, Amen. Yehei shemed Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, Shemei dekudesha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May all of us who mourn and all of us who are bereaved, may we find through God's eternal presence a source of strength, courage, and hope, and above all a source of shalom, of peace. And let us all say, amen. We may be seated.
And with the Jews' victory over hatred and Haman. great tradition was born. In celebration and with hearts greatly uplifted with the downfall of Haman, the Jews sent gifts to the poor and the needy. What better way to show their gratitude than sharing what they had with those who had less? Our tradition reminds us that our praise of God must be paired with righteous acts of compassion for others, the weak, the infirm, the strangers among us. Only in this way will we truly praise God.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us hear it for our not ready for Oneg time players. Our narrator, Joseph Tejas. Mordechai Howard Lavut. King Ahasuerus. Gesundheit. Barry Block. Queen Esther Diana Brown. And the ever wonderful present and great spirit, Haman Neil Rosen. Let's hear it. Whoa! I invite us to rise as we are able. If you are comfortable putting your arm around the shoulder of someone next to you, do so, or holding their hand, as we conclude with the singing of Adon Olam to a very different melody.
Adon Olam, Hashem Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Lev Nasa, B'chefso Kol, Hazai Melech Shemo Nikra. Ve'hu Echad, Ve'en Sheni, Lacham Shilo. Ve'hu Echad, Ve'en Sheni, Lacham Shilo, Lechach Bira, Beli Reshit, Beli Tachlit, Velo Ha'oz, V'cham Mizrah, Adon Olam, Shem Alach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Lev Nasa, B'chefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra, V'hu Eli, V'chai Goli, V'tzorchem Ti, Be'et Sarah, V'hu Nisi, Umanos Li, Manat Kosi, Be'yom Ekra, Adon Olam, Hashem Alach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Lev Nasa, V'chefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra, Be'yado Afkid Ruhi, Beit Ishan Ve'ahira, Ve'im Ruchi Geviati, Adonai Li Ve'lo Ira, Adon Olam, Hashem Alach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Lev Nasa, V'chefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra, Adon Olam, Hashem Alach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Lev Nasa, V'chefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra.
Ladies and gentlemen, the band! Dan Spector, Mike Warner, Leo Alves, and cantor Stacey Morse. We will share our brief Kiddush here as you enter the social hall. Help yourself to a glass of wine or juice or other favorite beverage.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen. L'chaim. And and
Whew, got it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lachem min haaretz
B'te'avon. Bon appetit. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Chag Purim Sameach.
Chag Purim Sameach.